It was like done in this bathroom, and I just remember like a woman like covering my face and just like cutting me, and then it was so weird because they just like in so much pain, so I was just screaming and crying, and I don't even remember if they used the same blade for everybody.
My name is Jibeh Fatty and I am 16 years old. I originated from Gambia, West Africa, and I am a survivor of type 1 female genital mutilation, abbreviated as FGM. My genitals were mutilated when I was only 6 years old by a woman who I never met in my life before. I was told that my circumcision ceremony was arranged by my paternal aunt, who is also responsible for planning many other females' FGM rituals in my village. Survivors of FGM never expected their families to surrender to such a barbaric cycle. They were sexually assaulted by strangers and sometimes even family members that were supposed to protect them and keep them safe. Little girls are at risk getting their genitals mutilated for no other reason than to gain control over their sexual desires. It is estimated that over 200 million girls and women have undergone female genital mutilation, and 3 million more girls are at risk. FGM is practiced across 30 countries in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. FGM is violation to human rights, women's rights, children's rights, and it has no place in our future generations. FGM is the traditional practice of removing or cutting parts of the female genitalia. It is often viewed as a passage into womanhood and sometimes is necessary for you to get married in some cultures. If you are not cut, then you cannot get married. All procedures which involve the partial or total removal of the external genitalia or injury to the female genital organs, whether for cultural or non-medical reasons. It can also be known as an extreme version of gender-based violence that affects over 200 million girls all over the world in different cultures, such as Arabs, West Africans, and even here in America.
Allahu Akbar.
To describe it with respect to our sisters, my daughter, my niece, mother, and those, it has to do purely with females, even with the definition. The definition of it is female genital mutilation. And hearing the word mutilation is not even a good word. Some who want to put a good word to it, they call it female circumcision.
There are 4 types of FGM. One includes removing parts of the female clitoris or the full extension of the clitoris and labia minora, and or the artificial closure of the vagina. All procedures which include the partial or total removal of the external genitalia or injury to the external genital organs, whether for cultural or medical reasons.
The third one, even in this, is what they call infibulation. It has to go even much higher than having circumcision or having a mutilation. They seal it by sewing it.
To introduce myself, I would begin by saying that I'm a mom, I'm a survivor, I'm a warrior, and I'm very, very, very proud of all the achievements that I have accomplished so far. I am 46 years old, I have 4 children, and I've been living here in New York City for the past 20 years. I'm also a New York State and New Jersey State licensed agent with a company that promotes financial literacy, and it's called World Financial Group. I was born in Senegal, the capital Dakar, in West Africa, but actually I was raised in the south of France in a beautiful, gorgeous city called Aix-en-Provence. That's where my parents have been living since the mid-70s. I learned French, Spanish, English. I've always been very open to learn different languages. And since my ears were pretty good at listening and paying attention to foreign languages, I decided to take take on some languages. I did Italian in college as well as Russian and Portuguese. But I really realized that later on when I was living here in America, in New York, that my private part was different than other females. Actually, my mom told me a few years after I graduated from high school. It was really nonchalant, out of a conversation, and she just said it. The way I see it, when I look at it, they cut really a large amount of the labials. So really, when you look at my vagina, you really barely see any remnants of it. It just looked different than the regular way that a vagina should look like. I felt really sad that this happened to me, and my mom was not there to protect me. My parents were not there to protect me because they were living in France at the time. I was raised by my maternal grandmother. So from the age of when I was born to 4-year-old, I was in Senegal. My mom gave birth to me at a very young age when she was 15, after she married my father, and she was in a coma after she gave birth to me for 1 week, and they transported her all the way to Europe. So they lived in France and left me there in Dakar until I was 4 years old and my father came to pick me up. And I felt really embarrassed. Once I started studying about it and I saw images and I heard other women on social media talking about it, I felt kind of a certain sense of relief a little bit, thinking, well, I'm not alone. Always made me feel very ashamed to know that I am a victim of this. I did some research when I found out this happened to me, and I wanted to know why they did it to me when I was a child in Africa. And I found out that actually the Islamic religion does not condone it, doesn't teach it. It's just ignorance and cultural.
The effects of FGM are constant pain and difficulty while having sex, repeated infections which can lead to infertility, which means you cannot bear children, bleeding, problems peeing or holding pee, incontinence, depression or flashbacks, and self-harm. FGM can lead to mental health problems during labor and childbirth, which can be life-threatening to a mother and her baby. Some girls die from blood loss or infection as a direct result of the procedure.
There was a lady that I thought maybe when I finished school I will marry her, and she's an Arab lady, and we couldn't get up to the marriage because of reasons. I was fearful. During the courtship, when she was a fiancée, she made me to know that she's circumcised, and also they do the infibulation. It's like they cut, and at the same time they saw it. They saw the place just to allow just a little tiny place there. I understood from that that this hurts her a lot. When she is now ready for the marriage, they have just to reopen the place. So I saw it at that time that this is really serious.
These are people that never went to school and they are not educated, so they don't really know what they are doing. They're just picking up something sharp and doing this practice because they are told that this is their way of life. So how do you hold them accountable when this is all that they know? And this was all that their family was doing and is normalized. I feel like some of the imams in the Muslim community are kind of responsible because some of them use religion and say that FGM is part of our religion and say that it's in the holy books and for that it should continue because it happened to the Prophet. And I feel like if they were to come and say, guys, stop this is not okay, because they are who everybody looks up to and they are the community leaders, then it would stop. And also the women too, but it's mostly the men driving the women, and if the women don't do what is expected of them, then they are seen as a bad person in the community.
To be honest with you, some scholars are in favor of it for one or two reasons. They believe the Prophet ﷺ, when he came to reform the bad habits and bad character, bad behavior in the society. He said, بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ, that God sent him that to complete the bounty in moral characters in people. That means also to give the reforms that have been there. And some people use that the prophet met a lady that's circumcised in Medina, a female lady that does it for the ladies. And the prophet said, do not cut it severely. It could be things. That hadith is say that it's not true, or that's not the prophet meant with that. And it could be reformative. If you see people are doing something widely practiced, you understand? To educate them, maybe you have to go by step. Even by the prophet saying don't do it severely, we understand that these things is not good for a lady.
They should know that they're not alone in that fight, and there's people out there that fighting and could give them a voice. To reach out to a group of victims, of people that can give them the support, that they should reach out and not just be silent.
We Will Not Be Tamed is a list of multiple rights and testimonials that intersect with the conditions of the FGM practice and will empower women to take action, to build alliances between one another by running for office, leadership roles, creating groups to address FGM like village groups in Kenya. The book will be a living online document that will be created as I travel the world, recording real account stories like my own and collaborating with advocates and survivors. My book will shift mindsets by including positive affirmations, poetry, success stories, breaking toxic cycles of abuse by creating their own power centers. Younger generations will now be in position to break generational chains. Distribution of the book will happen in targeted FGM risk areas, community centers, villages, refugee camps, recreation centers, and girls' clubs. We Will Not Be Tamed is a global book that will be in several languages and will change women's lives by creating a world where women live in triumph.